All right, it's 4:43 on Friday, December 5th, 2014, and this one's going to be kind of short because I got to do stuff. Um, so, happiness. Yeah, because again, I don't see I got a crappy haircut. That's all right. I don't see the utility in talking about other things. I mean, happiness is all that anyone ever wants. Happiness is all there is. And so, that's the premise. And I'm hot. Um, so, all right. So yeah, so like happiness. All right, so here's the thing. Like my computer my other computer just stopped working. It's because like I uninstalled some programs, but I installed it with like this Revo uninstaller that, I just like went through it pretty quickly, and it may have done something really, really, might have screwed up the whole thing, so I can't get into it. But I had it like hooked up to this same monitor and keyboard, that I am on this computer, and like so I'm hoping that if I hook it up to its own monitor and keyboard, it will boot up. And it's like I got a repair disk for it, but the repair disk doesn't even like boot, and I can't get into the boot menu and all that. So anyway, so all right, so I mean, like I'm gonna really relate this to happiness because like in my mind sometimes like there's the universe, and it kind of like, even though everything's up to it, God, whatever, it makes us do things, right and wrong. And when we do things that are right, it rewards us. When we do things that are wrong, it punishes us. It's not fair, but that's the way it is. And so, like, I'm thinking that, maybe like this is like this computer not working is like punishment for something that I'm doing that I'm not even aware is wrong or something. I don't know. But what more to the point, sometimes like when things don't go the way I would prefer them to go, or the way I think they should go, I allow it to interfere with my happiness. I get distracted from my happiness. I begin to worry, whatever. And so like the thing is that it's kind of like, I mean, like things like, things could become very horrible, like for me personally, for the whole world, whatever. I mean, like, yeah, there's a possibility, but you can't think that way because like things generally aren't that way. And for the small stuff, you know, um, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter whether if that computer just stops working completely, it just doesn't matter. Um, let's see. So, I might have to like, I don't know what I might have to do. I might have to go over to Linux, maybe get a new video camera or something. I don't know. But anyway, so, all right, so happiness. So, like, I'm not even sure I should have even gone into that, but no, this is like the process. So essentially what I'm trying to say is like things distract us from our happiness, and it's our challenge to not allow that to happen, to just, continue um, being connected to the happiness, focusing on the happiness, regardless of what happens. Like, I mean, like, I'm supposed to like meet some people later, for a few drinks, whatever. And like, I'm kind of tired today. And so like, I couldn't resist the temptation to like, set up the computer with a different monitor, but I realized I don't have a USB keyboard for it. So I may have to go, into town later to get one. And, now I've got like the other kind of keyboard with maybe a connector, but I'm thinking that's not going to work. But anyway, so what I'm going to see, like this stuff, I don't even know why I'm telling you. That's the thing. Like, people tell each other their problems, their challenges, what they're going through. And it's not that it's not enjoyable. There's a lot of stuff that's, enjoyable to do in a certain sense, but like, I'm not sure it's all that wise. I'm not sure it's necessary. You know, sometimes when we do that, we give whatever more significance, more importance. So happiness. And that's the thing. So, like, the constant struggle here, I guess the point I'm trying to make is the constant struggle we face on a moment-to-moment basis, regardless of who we are, what we're dealing with, is that we've got stuff that is that distracts us from our happiness. All of a sudden something goes wrong. Something doesn't go the way we would like it to go. We hear, unfortunate news and stuff, and we allow it to disturb our happiness. Now, here's the thing, like, even the worst things happen, like somebody close to you dies or whatever, you got to understand, like, in time, you're going to get over it anyhow. Like 5 years from when it happened, it's just like you wouldn't be allowing it to disturb your happiness, even a year after, whatever, even a month after, who knows. I mean, we do that because we know that, stuff that's negative is going to happen, and you can't allow it to take our happiness. And so, like, two things. One is like, so like, if it's all right after 5 years or 1 year, why isn't it all right after 5 minutes or 1 minute? I mean, like, I know the answer, the answer is obvious. The answer is like, we, even though nothing is up to us, we have this need to consider ourselves good people. And even though we're not, even though we are basically, I mean, like, it's not, we are neither good or bad because we don't have a free will, because everything's predetermined. We're just like, again, you can't call a puppet or a marionette bad or good. It just, manifests whatever. So, like, but like, we're programmed to need to consider ourselves good, even though like we're made to, like, torture animals and completely disregard 1-2 billion people on the planet, who just like have such a terrible time because we've got so much, and we, a lot of how we've got what I'm not going to get into that. It's just like we're not really good people. We really aren't. Thank goodness we don't have a free will, because we don't have to blame ourselves. But the idea is like, so like, so why do we? Sometimes it's genuine, like miss. Somebody dies and you miss them, whatever, or something bad happens, whatever. But sometimes, I guess my point is, sometimes we make ourselves feel bad because we feel that that's the right thing to do. That if we didn't feel bad, then that would be reflective of a callousness and indifference, like, a lack of concern, a lack of love, whatever it is. Again, there's very, I'm not saying there's not very genuine pain related to people's dying and other, unpleasant things, but sometimes it's more than that, to the extent that it gets stretched out over like weeks or months or years, whatever. But so, like, all right, with happiness, again, the point is that stuff is going to happen that one would prefer didn't happen. Let's say I can't get that computer to work again. So I don't know. So I'll, like, I'll try to hook up another computer to do this, because I'd rather not do these videos on this computer, because for whatever reason. But and then I might hook up another computer. Then I might have to get a new, like, webcam, or I might have to abandon this project altogether. See, that's the thing. And then, like, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether I'm doing this or not to my happiness. I mean, maybe it does. Maybe, like, to the extent that I'm doing this, I'm becoming happier. But there are other ways. If I wasn't doing this, I mean, and maybe I wouldn't do those. Maybe it'd become, well, all right. If not doing this, if not doing this kind of like limited my happiness some, then yes, that would be a negative outcome. And if I consider my happiness here's the thing. So if I consider my happiness as seriously, as importantly as I should, then yes, I would invest in the new webcam, something that works, or whatever, just like a new computer, whatever it is that I'd have to do to keep doing these videos. Again, if I considered them very useful to my happiness. So, but the thing is, I mean, like even that is like a mistaken notion that I need these. I mean, like um, I have I've worked on my happiness before. I reached like this level of 100% happiness back in 2005. After working on it for about 2.5 years. And so I know there are other ways, to become happier, as happy as I want to be, that don't involve these videos. So, and I don't even know that doing these videos is a good thing to do. Maybe it's not a good thing to do. That's the thing in this world. We don't know. Remember that parable I was explaining about, like the boy who was gifted a horse, was given a horse, and the people in the village want to know whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, and the wise man keeps on saying wait and see, and I'm not going to go through it again, but anyway, so yeah, a lot of times, I mean, sometimes like the good, the right, and the wrong are pretty obvious, and again, right and wrong always relate to like what's going to create happiness versus unhappiness, or alternately what's going to create the greatest happiness for the greatest number, the least amount of pain for the greatest number, the lesser of two evils, the greater of two goods. So it's always, kind of like an equation. And, we're just guessing at it. And again, we don't have free will, so it's not even our guess. But so, all right. So like with the happiness, so yeah, what's, all right. So what, the thing that's like, so I'm watching these videos on this ceremony called ayahuasca, and it's where people ingest this drink. It's made by shamans in the Amazon jungle, and actually you can get it here, but it's attached to a church. It's legally sanctioned as a religious rite, RITE, or but anyway, like, so I'm because people say, well, like you go through this and you experience some experiences that are scary, some of them are very, very wonderful, but then you come out of it feeling that your life has been transformed. And, like I'm a psychologist, whatever, in a sense, that interests me. So like, but here's the thing, but like last night before going to sleep, I think I listened to videos for about 2 hours, to, various different videos on YouTube of people presenting testimonials of their experience on this stuff. And it was interesting, but as a result, I think I'm a little tired today. I stayed up later than I wanted to. And so even stuff like, I think what I'm trying to say is like, like we have a curiosity. And I said this, I think yesterday, I might have said it the day before and all, but I guess it's a theme in my life that I allow my curiosity, wanting to know things to interfere with my happiness. And the reality is like, the reason I do that is because, I understand that to a great extent, even though I understand very clearly, very powerfully, that happiness is all there is, that happiness is really all I want, a lot of times when I'm like immersed in the activity of meditating on happiness, of feeling happy, of connecting to that feeling of happiness, for a reason that I don't yet understand or nearly well enough, there is, I don't value the experience, as much as I should. Part of me is saying, all right, so I'm like really, really happy, big deal. And this, like, and as I'm thinking about it now, I guess it's related to my, maybe it's a sense of guilt or social conscience. The idea that basically, well, fine, I'm happy, but like, again, you've got these animals being tortured, you've got this, these people, 2 billion people without enough food and water and medicine, and their kids are dying, thousands each day and stuff, and you got a lot of problems in the world. A lot of people are suffering. A lot of people are not nearly as happy as they could be. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe I say to myself, does it really matter, how happy I am and all? I mean, sometimes, like, sometimes I have the hope that to the extent that I become happier, then, I'm sharing that happiness in either kind of like mundane ways or spiritual ways, paranormal ways, who knows? But that's a hope, but I don't know, I don't know. But even so, like let's consider it. In other words, like if I believe that I'm doing what I can, and I do, and I believe I've done so much more than God, most people, anywhere to help the world, because that's what I've devoted the last 30 years of my life to, and I've succeeded, in certain ways, very, very powerfully. Again, like this free will thing is has received media attention, is like on people's minds recently over the last few years because of my work. Nobody was doing this before my work. My meetups, my TV shows, my books, especially my meetup. My Manhattan. I guess I don't like to take credit. It makes me nervous. My Manhattan meetup. 2010. 2 years before Sam Harris came out with his book, and I would bet that this buzz that I created led to his, now naturally he amplified, the buzz more, fine, but he didn't seal the deal. And as a matter of fact, the way he started his book, I think might have set things back, because like he starts it with this heinous crime. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm like, I'm promoting myself. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to say is, like, in my mind, and I don't care if you believe it or not, if you understand it, that I have, I've done that. I've pioneered, humanity eventually moving into this new consciousness. I mean, it's going to happen, whether it happens in a year, and 5 years, or 10 years, or 20 years, it's going to happen. You can't hold back something like this. I'm sorry, it's too out there, especially now the atheists have a hold of it, whatever. Even the Christians, like the Calvinists are now like coming out more strongly with this, whatever. But, all right, but, I guess what my main point was, like, if you feel you're doing as much as you can be to, help the world, or you feel you've done as much as you should be expected of anyone, and it's not like I don't keep trying. This is actually part of like trying to help the world become better, trying to help the world understand happiness, because happiness, I mean, in a certain sense, this is the highest. Aristotle said happiness is the highest good. So like, I'm not sure I could be doing anything better for the world than helping people become happier, but that runs into problems, because who am I helping make happy? Because sometimes I think when we in the rich countries become happier, very ironically, in some ways, on a personal level, I think maybe we become better people, but in a lot of ways, it seems like we don't. People become happy and they forget what it feels like to suffer if they don't think of other people's and other animals suffering and all. That's a curious kind of a consideration, because on the one hand, yeah, according to the research, the happier people become, the more compassionate people are. But again, like just how the way we treat farm animals. I mean, like, it's God. I mean, like, it's more horrible than what the Nazis did. And you might say, well, the Nazis were doing this to human beings, and we're just doing this to animals. No, see, that's like this speciesism. This. It's kind of like racism. It's like, we say to ourselves, my God, they don't matter because they're animals, but we know they feel pain. And those of us so clueless, so fucking stupid enough to believe that they don't, that's scary. And again, like, you can't blame them because it's not up to them. I guess it's scarier than that and an intelligent God or universe, intelligent enough to create our brains and all the laws of nature and to govern all that stuff, would find it wise or useful or necessary or intelligent to make people so fucking stupid. I mean, that's, how do you understand that? How do you make sense of that? That's kind of like the more broad question of, like, why would an intelligent being create pain to begin with? Because without pain, there's no evil. I mean, think about it. If there was no pain, you could do no evil. By definition, nothing you would do could ever be evil, because, like, evil requires, the suffering. What is evil is what causes suffering. Without suffering, there'd be no evil. So, and without pain, there'd be no suffering. So, all right, so, like, what time is it? 5 o'clock. I got to get out of here by 6. Yeah, I'm gonna like cut this short because I got stuff to do, and I don't know what's gonna happen with this computer, but I might end up having to get a keyboard, so I have to go into town earlier And so I got to like upload this, and 20 minutes is enough. Let me end on a more positive note. All right, so like again, this is good. This gets me working on happiness. I've decided, and it's a great thing that I've decided to just limit this to happiness. I'm not labeling it, George Ortega on happiness. It's still going to be George Ortega video journal because I guess because that's what I'm most about. When I'm talking about myself, anything about myself that isn't about happiness is kind of like inconsequential because anything that isn't about happiness is kind of like inconsequential. Now, naturally, stuff that relates to happiness, whatever, you know what I mean. All right, so I'm going to, so right now I'm going to like try to boot up that computer again using a PS2 to USB connector if I have one. Otherwise, I got to head into town and get a new keyboard and deal with that later. And I got some good work done earlier today. I needed to create a new intro to my show. Finally did it. And I am tired, but hopefully I get enough rest today. I got to go into Manhattan again tomorrow. I got to lead a free will meetup, and then I got to attend a happiness meetup later. With this guy that I recruited to host the meetup. I still attend. Even though I don't host some of them, I still go there. All right. Well, that's I got stuff to do. I hope you're having a good Friday. Have a good weekend, and you will be back. As per the universe's desire. Hopefully tomorrow. Shit, if I'm going to do this tomorrow, because once I head into the city, I won't be back until like 9 o'clock or so. And so I'll try to get it done. I'll do at least 5 minutes. Hopefully. I never know what the universe is going to have me to do. But so yeah, that's the plan. All right. So have a great weekend.